and eventually the state will have to pay. Then it will even go beyond the 14 billion. Okay. That is why they were asked to stop their activities. And now those that are following the rules in terms of requirements before account opening, managing the funds of customers effectively, are those that are in operation. Okay. And so going forward, due diligence will be the catchphrase before licenses are issued to new ones, so that the customers will not eventually lose when it comes to
yes.
So the necessary measures have been put in place. You are right.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ashley. We are actually crossing over. Want to have a look at the State of the Nation's address. We'll come back and still continue our deliberations. Please stay with us.
Good people of Northtown who I represent will be keen on the president's pledges he made when he came around campaigning in 2016. There are many of these manifesto promises that have not been met, especially where I represent. The Volivo Bridge, for example, which is a major bridge with the Avema Suchari Road. These are major projects which ought to have been funding was secured even before the NDC left power on the midnight of 6 January 2017. What is the status? We have not seen any work done in that regard. What happened to $1 million per constituency? The one district, one factory. We have not seen any factory in our district. So all of these campaign promises, manifesto pledges that were made, it will be important for the president to render an account, very honestly.
I expect great news from the president tomorrow, and I think it's important to put things in perspective. Where we took over from the previous regime and where we are, economic indicators, the vice president have spoken to that. If you look at education, it's never happened in the history of this nation, the last 62 years, where between a period of 2 years we've grown secondary enrollment by over 400,000. Never happened. It's happening now. It's no longer something that was part of a campaign promise. It is a reality, and I think we have something good to share with the people of Ghana for them to know that this government have executed according to projection and according to promise. 1 ambulance per constituency. It was not just a campaign promise, it has been delivered. 1 district, 1 factory. Most districts are sometimes even getting more than 1. So tomorrow will be an exciting day in the House.
Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution stipulates that the President is expected to deliver the State of the Nation address at the beginning and before the dissolution of Parliament. Thursday's address will be the 4th and last address of the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, in his first term. In the House on Wednesday, there were preparations ahead of the event. For the first time, media houses who intend to carry out live studio discussions were expected to request for and receive formal permission. Media houses with multiple channels are only demarcated one spot for discussions, and media houses are expected to set up before 9:30 a.m. on Thursday.
So once you are demarcated a space, you cannot come and say that you want another space and create the kind of confusion that we've seen in the past. So your space is your space. And for those of us who come from, let's say, multimedia with 3 or 4 different stations, if you are given one spot, you manage that one spot.
The demarcation, as she said, is very important. You know, we don't have enough space as a parliament house, and therefore we have to make do with the space available. And that is the good reason why we could not allot a mother station with affiliated ones accordingly.
Parliament's Director of Public Affairs, Ms. Kate Adu, said the dress code would be strictly formal and media houses should set up between Wednesday evening and early Thursday.
Welcome back, viewers. We are still on Ghana Television, serving you the breakfast. Today is about the expectations of the President's State of the Nation's address. My guests are still in the studio here. That was just some views from the public sharing their expectations, what they want the President to touch and tackle this morning as he brings his address to us as a people. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We are enjoying the discussion. Yes, I can see that behind the scenes you were talking about that. Let me just read this. Somebody sent a message. The government has done well in some areas like free SHS, NAPCO. Now let us look at the basic education level. For 2 terms now, new curriculum has been formulated, but no teaching and learning materials. Textbooks and other teaching learning materials not available. Since last year, some basic schools are collapsing. 10 over 100% in this area. Kindly remind them if they have forgotten about the basic schools. These are what people are saying. That we still have some challenges, and there's a school of thought that they have actually not paid particular attention to the major sectors like the primary, secondary, and tertiary. And somebody is just sending this, that we are trying, but it seems there's more to be done. Just share your thoughts shortly on this, and then we move to one district, one factory.
Certainly, those are coming under your primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Yeah.
And they were talking more economy, what you got.
Yes.
Certainly, because the ultimate aim is quality, to ensure that the person comes out with some level of knowledge. It means that before the person gets to the senior high, we have to pay attention to that as well.
Okay.
So primary and then the GHS is also very important. And if care is not taken, those who will be transiting into senior high, because it is free, they can think that they can walk in.
Okay.
And so attention will not be paid to the primary and the GHS, which is going to be the foundation for them to get access to the senior high.
Okay.
Indeed, there are restrictions as to do with monitoring their studies in the senior high. I learned that if you fail 3 times or so, and you have withdrawn, then you have to now fund it yourself. And I think that when these things are put in place, it will put in the mind of people that, look, it is free, but you have a role to play. Because the best thing that anybody can do for you is to give you education.
Okay, that is very true. It is one thing that cannot be taken from you, and so it's a very good asset for that matter. I'm coming to you, Madam Rodeline. The issue of one district, one factory. There are people who think that the president has not been impressive at all with regards to this one district, one factory, as promised in 2016 election campaign. Do you have a contrary view?
I think that what's happening is that people seem not to have understood what he meant.
Okay.
We all took it that the state or the government was going to go into building factories and whatnot. But what we were told was that it was going to be with private participation, which meant that we're depending on the private sector to also come in and help us. What I think has been the problem is that not many people understood this whole concept. So they were expecting that government was going to come out there and build the factories. You understand? And because that one has not come, people take it that the government has not done well. But I think that going forward, we should give incentives, because we find out that there are certain areas that do have the raw materials, but then the people do not have the capacity to be able to do anything like build any factories. So government must find some form of incentive to give to those people, so that at least we have a reverse situation where people will not be leaving the rural areas to come to the urban areas, but we'll find people from the urban areas going back to the rural areas. You understand, to set up these factories. Because it's not that we can't do it, we can. And I think that government also has to look at the situation where we can at least let people go into cottage industries. There are certain things that we can do in our various communities. Very small things. And they don't take too many implements. I always say that when you're given the position of ambassador to India, to China, those are the things you can do to help your government. Because places like India are very good with cottage industry. At this moment, we should have had things like people actually doing things like chopsticks or whatever we call them. Toothpicks. Toothpicks should have been something that we should have been doing, because you don't need too much. On the contrary, we are still importing. But we have so much bamboo.
Yes.
You understand? So I'm asking, can we ask the ambassador for India to look around and see if we can get people to give us those small cottages? We don't need big rooms or anything. Just outside, you can set those things up and get it going. So these are some of the things that I think that the government will have to look at, because people are expecting that they would build the factories. But since they can't build the factories, they must facilitate for people to be able to do those things. So yesterday I watched something interesting. I think in Uganda also, where plantain leaves were being used for paper. This was just a cottage industry. You understand? And I asked myself, I said, Western region has so much of this plantains. And look in the shanty everywhere.
You know?
And yes, so we just cut them and leave them. So why can't we take this as one of those things to make paper out of it for local consumption alone? You understand?
Thank you very much, Madam Rodalyn. Dr. Ashley, this one district, one factory issue, is the efforts of government worth celebrating?
Well, the effort to some extent, yes. The idea, as Madam rightly mentioned, was to make sure we have factories in the various constituencies. Now, the underlying factor is to make sure we take an initiative with several end results. One of them is have factories in the various constituencies, and then second, increase the level of employment across the country. So that was the underlying factor. Make sure we have employment, and it is actually the major panacea to the unemployment crisis we have in the country. That's why the president at the outset was trumpeting home the need for everybody to get on board. Let us see how best we can have the one district, one factory initiative rolled out, implemented, and then achieve the desired result. Because with the high unemployment rate, the youth unemployment rate is now around 13.7%. Yes, for the entire nation, the labor and employment minister talked about 7.1, but towards the end of the year, Statista puts it at about 6.78% for the entire nation. But the youth alone is about 13.7%. And so tackling or addressing youth and general unemployment is something that we need to hold on to collectively, and that is what the one district, one factory sought to do. However, as Madam indicated again, the idea was not for government to build the factories, because some of us looked into it and realized that outright government ownership has not helped that in time past. A classic example was Ghana Commercial Bank. When it was outright government owned, we had challenges, but when part of the shares were privatized, now Ghana Commercial Bank was able to absorb Capital Bank and UT Bank. You know, so, and also outright private ownership in some cases, in indigenous wise, has also not been helpful. Classic examples are also the indigenous banks that we had to consolidate. So the public-private partnership we realized will be good for the nation. That is why the PPP has been the trumpet of the government through the Ministry of Trade and Industry with regards to the one district, one factory, and that is why it has delayed in terms of outright implementation across the various constituencies. If the government were to take it up, perhaps by now we have all the factories in place. But when it is private, the private partnership comes in, it helps in several ways. One, government is able to derive revenue from its share of ownership, and then taxing of the company becomes easier for us as well. So this is where we have come to. But looking at the breakdowns that we had from the trade minister, you realize about 58 of these factories are currently functional. Toward the end of last year, 226 were still under construction, and 97 were to be started towards the end of last year. Now, if you put this together, we're talking about 181 factories out of the 275. If we have few of these even fully functional, now I would say we're making significant inroads, because the figures given to us as employment figures. For the direct jobs from the 58 factories, we are told we have 10,983 jobs.
Okay.
And then for the indirect, we have about 43,900 jobs from the 58. And so when the 26 and the others also come on board, we are likely to make some inroads. So yes, it has not been easy, but it is a very positive and useful cause that we all need to support so that we can address the unemployment challenges we have. Security ties into unemployment, and when it is addressed, we will be able to heal a sign of strong relief in this particular area.
Dr. Ashley, I think the statistical support is actually making everything clearer. Let me just...
Yes, and even the last part of it is the employment. The employment, you see, last year we are told we had about over 611,000 formal jobs. You know, for this, the government alone provided over 343,000.
Please permit me with a few messages. All right, so... I expect this band from Kwabinya. I expect the president today to address the issue of Galamsey and how far he's been able to fight corruption in his government. Also with the issue of missing aboboyas and excavators. Greetings to John Mahama. So you know this is coming from, you know what I mean. All right. Kwabinya, all right. The president would address you. And from Abedi of Kwada, so thank God NPP government lambast and on Galamsey politics. We want you to share issues regarding what you expect the president to be talking about this morning as he brings a State of the Nation's address. The government has done well in some areas like VSHS, it has come again, and yes, we have more messages. Please. If economy indicators are good, why student loans are not being paid from last year up to date? And I think this has been addressed to Dr. Ashley. And some students are deferring their courses. God is watching us all. From level 400 students in Accra. All right, that is well noted. Okay, and this one, as President Akufo-Addo is going to deliver the State of the Nation address at the Parliament House today, my expectation is that the president should tell Ghanaians exactly the steps he and his government have put in place to curtail all the Galamsey people that are destroying our river bodies and lands. Special greetings to Captain Moro, MPP, MP, or something. All right. So indeed, people are concerned, especially about our water bodies. They are concerned, and they really want the president to say something about it. I think this one is in our best interest. Okay.
You know,
right. So the issue of Galamsey, I'm coming to you. Let's talk about the issue of Galamsey.
You know, every time that I drive to Takoradi, and I drive there a lot, you know, I don't have the opportunity to go around all of Ghana to see whether river bodies are being destroyed. But you hear reporters say that. Some. But whenever I'm driving to Takoradi, I always use when I get to a town called Biposo, there's a bridge there. I don't know whether it's the Praia River or which one seems to pass there. You know, and I've always been looking at the color. For me, that would be my measurement that there is improvement in Galamsey. So, I mean, at a time, it was really, really dark, a chocolate color. As I continued to go, it began to get a bit lighter. Some time back, and I was really happy. I said, I see progress with this, and I was happy. And then after some time I began to see it get dark again. So for me, I mean, my greatest measurement as a person is to see our water bodies becoming clearer and better. And the Ghana Water has sounded warning to all of us that if we don't do something about it, in a matter of a few years, we are going to import water.
We have said it better.
That is like so serious. All of us have to sit up. And it's no longer a matter of politics where anybody should side with anybody. I mean, like the new app that they have done for Ghana Water, when they were launching it, I heard the MD saying that if you report somebody who has connected electricity wrongfully or illegally, they'll give you 6% of the charge that they will put on the person. And in the papers, and according to the MP, they had caught a mining company and they had charged the mining company in excess of 1 million cedis. So that person instantaneously went home with, I think 90 or something, 60,000 Ghana, whooping 1,000 cedis. I'm thinking that it should be the same policy for Galamsey, where when people are arrested, informants, those who help must be given money, because it has become a national issue.
Yes,
and nobody should tolerate it. No, I mean anybody, whichever party you belong to, that I hear defending anybody doing Galamsey, that person hates Ghana and hates our children that are to come in the future.
Thank you very much for thinking about our future children even before they arrive. Thank you so much. And Mr. Tekpe, your thoughts on this Galamsey issue, and then we announce the phone lines and let our viewers contribute to this whole discussion. Please, Galamsey.
Before the Galamsey, just a quick one on the 1D, 1F.
Yes, the 1D, 1F.
Yes, you know, if you understand how factories are established, you know that it's not a one night or 1 day, event.
Yeah.
And especially because these people are not ideological investors. They are not going to build these factories to promote their ideologies, but for investment purposes, to make profit. And so a lot of factors come into. If you cite a factory, something must feed that factory to grow.
Proximity to raw materials.
So how are they going to get raw materials to feed this factory for sustainability, for viability? So it is not just anywhere that factories can be cited. There are some constituencies that are not viable for factories to be cited. Because what kind of factory are you going to cite there? If it is just about citing factories, then yes. So it requires a lot of scrutiny, a lot of analysis, a lot of research work, so that it will enable those who want to go into it come. And that is one of the reasons why it has delayed.
Yes.
Now on Galamsey, to fight this menace is just to allow our institutions to work. We have good laws.
Yes.
We have very good laws. But how can it be that it has to get to the extent where ministerial committee has to be formed before we fight Galamsey, when we have all the laws? So the leaders, after they have formed after they have done all that they have, what they have to do is to make sure that anybody who is found culpable is punished. The actions that will be taken by the president will determine the firmness in fighting this menace. Other than that, so far as human beings are living in these communities, they will sneak to go into it.
Yes.
But what will stop them is that when you are caught, so those who were involved in, stealing, as the word was used, the excavators, those who were involved in going back and then doing it behind, for us to know that indeed our leaders are serious, is to ensure that anybody who is involved in the chain, because it costs a lot of money to set up the committee, it costs a lot of money to mobilize the security, it costs a lot of money to put them out there to be securing, to ensure that our water bodies are not depleted as a result of their action. So anybody who is involved needs to be dealt with in the law. It is only when those who are into it have seen that when I go wrong, I'll be dealt with. Then, other than that, people will be, riding on the corridors of power. And they will see themselves to be untouchable. So they will go into it, they'll be arrested, and at the end of the day, they'll be free. So what will be the motivation for anyone to say, I'll not go into it?
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Tekpo. Madam Adami, what do we do to salvage our water bodies with this Galamsey issue?
Well, they've all said their bit, and I'm saying that it's been very difficult when we continue to politicize it. We are politicizing it to such an extent that it's becoming a hopeless case. because everybody else says that it's this political party members that are in it, and then they also say when you were there, you were also doing it. Okay. You understand?
Okay.
So for us, we are saying that there are reasons why these things are happening.
Okay.
And no one gets punished.
Okay.
I don't see how the president is going to punish his own people. I don't. Anybody can agree with me, because we've had it and we haven't seen anybody being punished.
But you expect him to talk about Galamsey?
I will expect him to talk about Galamsey. I would expect him to agree and accept that he has failed and that he's putting in measures to improve it. You understand? I would expect him to at least say that, yes, I have failed. Look at us as Ghanaians and say, yes, this was something that was dear to my heart. We have failed, but we are going to put in new measures to fight it.
Okay. That's your expectation from the president today?
Yes, that is what I'm expecting for him to say, to agree and accept and apologize to Ghanaians. Yes, I have failed, and this is a situation where my own people are being accused of this, and I'm going to make sure that the right thing is done by investigating and prosecuting anyone who is found culpable.
Okay.
This will satisfy Ghanaians.
I think it is obvious that listening to all of your submissions on this very issue, gradually we are all toning the line of Ghana first.
Ghana first. This is the whole thing.
Yes, in our best interest. So it doesn't matter where you belong to. If it is not good, it's not good. Thank you very much. So now we want to announce the phone line 0302 770 222. Please call us, share your views, and tell us what you expect from the president this morning as he brings his State of the Nation's address to all of us. You can call us once again 0302 770 222 and join us in the discussion right here on GTV. All right, so we are still back. We are talking about this expectation, and I want to come to you.
The
1D1F. I thought you had dealt with it extensively. Or you want to add up?
Yes, my brother made a nice submission about it, and actually he talking about several considerations. I'm sure he was looking at factors such as proximity to raw materials, human capital, the other social facilities like electricity, water, and what have you. Now, some constituencies may not have the natural resource to provide the raw materials per se, but then we will still need the factory, and the constituency could be fed with the nearby raw material, so that we'll be able to achieve the ultimate objective of spreading the employment opportunities across the country, and also making sure, as some of you mentioned, people within the vicinity appreciate the need for them to stay other than coming into the major cities. So each constituency, as a matter of fact, is viable when it comes to the siting of a factory, except that the factories will vary from one constituency to the other. It may also be that one constituency may not have the immediate raw materials needed to feed the factory. However, the nearest or nearby constituency may be of help, and with this we'll be able to distribute. Also, there are some individuals who have raised concerns that their visit to some parts of the country revealed that factories or companies they need years
I'll come back to you briefly. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning, caller. You're welcome to the show. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, my name is Ernest. I'm calling from Kumasi.
Ernest from Kumasi?
Yes, please.
Okay, please go ahead. We are listening.
Please, we would like the government to also talk about the unemployed nurses issue. We have nurses who have sat home from 2017 up to date. Last year, the government promised to employ those nurses. Up to now, we don't see anything.
Okay.
So we are pleading with the government to employ the nurses who are unemployed from 2017 to 2020.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ernest from Kumasi. I was loud and clear. So he's actually expecting the president to talk about the unemployed nurses who have been staying home since 2017. Wow. So thank you very much. So like you were talking about 1D1F. Yes, please continue.